This is Tyrese Haliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Base.
I appreciate that, Alex. Thank you for recognizing.
This is how legacies are built.
Haliburton takes it in the backcourt. Crosses over on Beverly. Float game for the win! Tyrese! The terror! Haliburton double team. Shot clock at 4. Nembhard's got to put it up. Step back. His three-pointer. Nembhard knocks the three down. Timeout Knicks!
Andrew Nembhard was so good.
17,000 on their feet. Siakam, a three. Siakam hits the three. 6 1/10. Pacers have the lead.
And that right there is why the Indiana Pacers traded for Pascal Siakam.
Neesmith with a running start. Oh my goodness! Just destroyed it. Aaron Neesmith. 10 seconds. McConnell baseline drive. Gives it up. Top in. Corner three. And rattles in. Indiana pulls off a shocker.
The pep in the step is back.
Johnson cut off against Murphy with 6 to shoot.
And blocked by smothered chicken. Please give me some smothered chicken on that one.
You think Tyrese Haliburton is overrated? Think again.
Pacers down 3. Haliburton's got the ball. Haliburton rises up. A three and is fouled. You have got to be kidding me. Right in the grill of Giannis.
And that's a miss by Kuzma at the rim. Turner flushes it down the lane. Miles Turner with authority. Oh my God.
The crowd screaming, oh my God.
8 seconds. Haliburton against Giannis. Haliburton, 3 seconds. Puts it in. He put it in. 3/10.
There's no timeout.
No timeouts for the Bucks.
Yeah! That's how we do.
Pacer Nation, welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. And joining us once again is our good friend Chris Denari, who is actually in the building for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's always good to have a couple of days between games in these playoff series because you get to enjoy it, for a few days. And I know you've been busy with podcasts. I've been busy as guests on many podcasts, national radio. What's cool, Alex, is you and I have lived this, all year long. We knew what the Pacers were and how good they could be. It's pretty cool to have everybody across the nation now, maybe even across the world, finding out what this Pacers team is all about. So, it's really good. And you're right. I was in the building for Game 1. I went on the staff charter. They took 2 planes on Thursday. I was on the second plane, and I sat up in section 315. Honestly, my seat wasn't any worse than where the media was sitting. But I sat with our staff, and it was a lot of fun. And let me tell you, when Tyrese hit that shot, there were 300 or so Pacers fans up in that end zone. We were just on our feet cheering. So it was really, really cool.
How did the Thunder fans in the arena respond to that game winner from Tyrese?
Well, at 0.3 of a second, a lot of them by us just started on the way down because I think they figured that with 0.3 of a second, there wasn't much that Oklahoma City could do. What was interesting, you're always thinking, okay, what can you do at 0.3? It's usually 0.5 or 0.7. It's a catch and shoot. It was funny to me because I thought Dagnall took a timeout, and of course then Rick took a timeout to match up. And the pass, that was about the easiest defense that Miles Turner could play. I mean, Caruso just lobbed it up and he batted it away. I was just a little worried, Alex, that there'd be some kind of foul or some crazy play that would happen. But yeah, the Oklahoma City fans, they were all, they were all nice. But very disappointed. It got very quiet. When Tyrese hit that shot, you could hear a pin drop except for the 400 or 500 Pacers fans that were making a lot of noise in the building.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I've listened to a few Oklahoma City Thunder podcasts, and most of them have said they still feel confident in what the Thunder were able to do for the majority of the game, that they can still win this series. But a handful of them said, man, this feels a lot different than what they experienced with the Nuggets. And so I do wonder, is this a potential game, winning shot by Haliburton that could kind of maybe put OKC in a different spot than they've been in all year?
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to compare Denver and Indiana. I mean, Denver has Jokic, one of the great players in the world, but I just think that the pace that Indiana plays works to their advantage. Now, Oklahoma City plays a little faster, but much faster than the Knicks, not as fast as the Pacers. But if you think about Denver, Denver's one of those walk it up the floor, run their half court set, get the ball to Jokic. He tries to make things happen. And Indiana's different than that. They want to still push the pace, take it out of the net, get up the floor. I think some of the issues the Pacers had in game one was when they were playing a little slower, Oklahoma City's pace. So I anticipate that it's a little bit different. The other piece is Indiana won the game and honestly didn't play all that well. I mean, when you have almost, 25 turnovers, you have 19 or 20 in the first half, and you're only down 10 or 12. I just think Indiana's ceiling is much higher with how they can play in this series against Oklahoma City. So they have to feel pretty good that, hey, we didn't play our best. I mean, they did shoot 47, 48% and hit 18 threes, but uncharacteristic for a Pacers team to turn it over as much as they did. Now, give a lot of credit to OKC. That's their strength. But I just don't see Indiana not taking care of the ball in game two like they did in game one.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. I think that you could tell the nerves were there. Even Haliburton, who was mic'd up, said that, he felt a little antsy out there. So it happens. It's the biggest stage of it all. You mentioned it. You said we've been watching this up close for 82 plus games, and then the world's now finally getting a chance to see it. And I just thought, going back and listening to all of the Tyrese Haliburton game winners, you got to call the one against the Bucks. And then it was against the Cavaliers, Spiridides, and then against the Knicks, it was Kevin Harlan, and now Mike Breen gets to call a game winner for Tyrese Haliburton. So it is pretty cool that he will have 4 different guys who made the call for him on the game winners. But you were talking to me about just the amount of clutch shots that Tyrese Haliburton has made since the 2022-2023 season.
Yeah.
And you printed out a sheet that is front and back.
Yeah, I have a sheet right here. It's front and back. It's labeled Tyrese Haliburton career clutch time. And it goes back to the 22-23 regular season. And I have 41 games that Tyrese has made clutch plays. And again, for those fans that aren't familiar with clutch time, it's plus or minus 5 points with 5 minutes to play. And, what Tyrese has done in this playoffs, I mean, he's doing it with seconds to play. But it goes all the way back. Alex and I, before we got on air, it goes back to like the 22-23 season, March 9th, 2023. He scored the last 12 points in overtime from 2:40 on. You go to the playoffs last year, the Milwaukee game, the New York game, just all the clutch performances he's had. We lived it during the regular season with how many times he did it. And of course, we've lived it here in this postseason. So don't be surprised with what Tyrese Haliburton is doing, because he has done it since he arrived as a member of the Pacers.
Yeah, I think everybody keeps saying, oh, Pacers stun whoever they're playing, right? They stun the Bucks, they stun the Cavs, they stun the Knicks, they stun the Thunder. I said, at what point do we quit saying that they've stunned these teams? This is who they are. This is what they do. They are just absolute heartbreakers. And I feel like maybe the word stun is getting a little overplayed here, because we've seen them do this time and time and time again. And I just feel like if you get the Pacers in a clutch game, 95% of the time they're going to win it.
Yeah, I was on the phone. So after Tyrese hits the shot, the Pacers win. Fortunately, my media pass says team, so I have pretty good access, and I was going to go down to the floor. I was going to try to get to the locker room, and I was on the phone with my wife, and, of course, she watched the game, and her comment was, everybody's talking about, as you said, Alex, surprise. Why should we be surprised? I mean, this isn't luck. I mean, luck is, it happens maybe once. This has happened multiple times in the postseason. It's happened multiple times in the regular season. Go back to the Dallas game. Remember that game, Alex, at Cambridge Fieldhouse, when the Pacers rallied inside a minute from 9 points down? Siakam wrestles the ball away, throws it out to Nembhard, hits a 3 to win the game. I mean, we have seen it time and time again. This is a team, and in particular a player in Tyrese Haliburton who has great confidence in what he can do. So I just think it's pretty cool. Some of us has felt like this is a team of destiny, but you still have to win the games. And they've done what they set out to do with game one. There's still a long series to go. Think back to the Knicks series. Rick Carlisle would always say 13 days, 7 games. Well, this is a situation, it's way longer than 13 games. I mean, the first game was the 5th. A potential game 7 could be June 22nd. So you're talking 17 or 18 days. And that's how Rick Carlisle and his staff and his team are looking at it. Yes, success in day one, but you got a long way to go.
Yeah, you can celebrate it in the moment, but do not hang on to it. You got to have short-term memory loss and move on to the next game, because OKC is going to make adjustments, and they're going to find ways to counter what Indiana was able to do there, especially in that second half. But you look at what OKC did in the first game. They changed their starting 5, and they put Cason Wallace in the lineup. They take Isaiah Hartenstein out. I don't know if that really impacted the overall outcome of the game at the end of the day, but curious your thoughts on them making that move and what they could do for game 2 to try to make another adjustment to what happened in game 1.
Yeah, they had to figure that having the 2 bigs, while it could be a strength, how do they defend the Pacers? Siakam and Turner, both who can step out and shoot threes. And we've seen the Pacers use Obi Toppin at the 5, Pascal at the 5. It's a very interesting matchup from the standpoint that, OKC can go with the 2 bigs or they can go small. I tend to think if they try to go small, that's an advantage for the Pacers. I think the Pacers can play that way, and they've done that with Obi or Pascal playing the 5. They sort of interchange at the 4-5 position. So it will be interesting. It's a little surprising that OKC would be the team that makes the first change even before the first game starts, that they would opt to go away from what they feel like is their strength. And so chalk that up as win for the Pacers. We've always said in these postseason series that the losing team is always the team that has to make an adjustment to get back into the series. And we'll have to wait and see what Mark Daigneault decides to do, if he goes back to the 2 bigs or if he stays with the lineup that they started with in game 1.
On the flip side, is there anything that you think the Pacers can do adjustment-wise for game 2? Because you talk about it, they didn't play a good game, really, in the first half. It was pretty bad. I think they kind of started to figure some stuff out in the second half, got it to within 6 points at the end of the third before SGA hits that 3, but then they go down by 15 in the fourth quarter before having that comeback. What adjustments would you like to see Indiana make for game 2?
Well, I just think, Rick Carlisle was mic'd, and I thought it was very simple about, don't drive into traffic. Don't try to throw those bounce passes, scooting through the lane. This is a different defensive team. There are some of those things you can do against Cleveland, you can do against New York, but Oklahoma City's strength is their ability to put a lot of defensive pressure on you and create havoc and create turnovers. But look at the changes that Indiana made within the game. They scored just 45 first half points and scored 66 in the second half, including 35 in the fourth quarter. They shoot 48% and 46% from 3. So I think Indiana made some great adjustments within the game. And a lot of that was taking better care of the ball, going from 19 or 20 turnovers to just 25. And I think Rick Carlisle said it best. The Pacers, even though they turned it over, they were able to get back defensively and not allow Oklahoma City to take advantage of that. The other thing, Alex, and, having watched the game up in my seats and following the game with NBA Courtside on my phone in and out where the stats are, a little bit surprised. It didn't feel like it early, but Indiana won the boards by 17. You would have never expected that, even with Oklahoma City only shooting 40% from the field. But Nesmith had 12 rebounds, Siakam had 10, Ty had 10, Turner had 9. I said before the game, one of the keys, I was on with Brad Brown on the Channel 6 pregame show before NBA Countdown, and I said, just manage the boards. You don't have to win the glass, but you can't get out-rebounded by 10, 12, 15. And here's Indiana. They out-rebound Oklahoma City by 17. So I think there are some minor adjustments that the Pacers can make, but I think taking care of the ball and not getting behind the 8 ball with the turnovers. If you can manage that, I think you'll be in pretty good shape.
Now, this is a non-finals question, but a question that I have to ask you personally. How many TV and radio hits have you done? Have you been working more doing these hits than when you're actually on the broadcast for these games?
But I've done way more hits. I'm trying to think. National radio. I mean, we're taping this in the morning on Saturday. I've got another national radio hit this afternoon. I've probably done at least 1 or 2 every day. Tomorrow on game day, I'll be live down at the Field House on Channel 13, I think Channel 59, Channel 8, all morning long doing live stuff. I've done that throughout the week. Jeremiah Johnson and I have sort of been trading off. Channel 13 in town already wants me in the studio on Monday morning to recap games 1 and 2. So from that standpoint, while I'm not doing the games and not preparing for games to do play-by-play, still very, very active in media content and those kinds of things.
I mean, I'm sure you have pretty much been saying the same stuff to all these different outlets. So I do appreciate you coming on and talking with us. But one of the things that stood out to me was just how late in the shot clock Indiana was in the first half, trying to get their shots going. They were just constantly looking for the next option because it might have been slightly open, but they were still trying to see if they could generate a better look. It almost felt like to me, if you go back and watch the second half, the Pacers were much quicker in their decision-making on shot selection, and they were taking that first look instead of waiting to get into their third or fourth action to maybe get a better look, just knowing OKC's defense is that good, and they respect them that much. Did you notice that as well with Indiana getting up quicker shots?
Yeah, the thing that I notice, and I watch this when I go to practice as well, is when that ball pops, and they'll, even if they're not penetrating, they're moving it around the perimeter. A guy catches, passes, and that creates the opportunity to keep the defense off guard. It's when you hold the ball and dribble, that especially against Oklahoma City gives their defenders a chance to attack. And they are very good at defending laterally, right? If you're trying to put the ball on the floor and beat them, they get to the spot in front of you. So when you see, for instance, like I'm thinking when Obi's in, Obi will come out, ball will be reversed to him real quick. He catches and either a pass fake or he quickly gets it. Let's see, he's in with McConnell. McConnell penetrates a little bit and moves it. When that ball is moving, when the Pacers are reaching that ceiling of 350 passes per game, that's when they're at their best. And I thought in that first half, they didn't pass it very well. And I thought that allowed Oklahoma City to really sit back defensively and put a lot of pressure on the Pacers. And I don't think Indiana reacted very well to that pressure in the first half. In the second half, it looked like they just felt more comfortable, and that ball was zipping around, and that's why they got the shots that they got.
Yeah, I think it was a great adjustment from one half to the other, and I think it's going to be something we see them do moving forward. Now, when you look at the overall game, nobody had like a great scoring night. Pascal led the team with 19, and like you mentioned earlier, 10 rebounds. But Tyrese gets the game-winning shot. But was there a player that stood out to you that you felt like really kind of changed the way this game was going for the Pacers?
Yeah, I thought Andrew Nembhard on both ends. I thought the three-point play that he had on the drive, we've seen him time and time again. He's so tough in using his body to create contact. The step-back three he hit over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And let's give him a lot of credit, and really his teammates on that final Oklahoma City possession. That was a tough shot for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We know that he makes those time and time again, but the help that Pascal Siakam showed, Nesmith was there. You know, it was funny. Jalen Williams was open, but Gilgeous-Alexander's going to take that shot, but it was a fading shot under pressure. And then Nesmith to get that rebound, and the Pacers, we know what happened after that. So, you look at Nesmith, Nembhard, Turner, Toppin, those names were all critical in the fourth quarter, making plays on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I mean, this is why this is such a fun team to watch, because it's not just one guy doing it all. It's every single player on the court having an impact in some certain way. And, I'm not saying that other teams don't do that, but it just feels like it's more the Pacers do that more often, and they're more dependent upon that, where they're not so dependent or relying upon one player to kind of carry them to the promised land, like we saw at times with like a Denver or even with the Bucks with Giannis, things like that. They're not so heliocentric. But moving forward to game 2, is there a player you're maybe wanting to see them take a step forward in the way that they played from game 1 to game 2 that'll help Indiana get another victory?
Yeah, I think this could be a Benedict Mathurin game, right? He played almost 16 minutes, was only 1 of 5 from the field, but he got to the free throw line. He had 3 rebounds, he had 2 assists, and he only had 5 points. But we know what he did in that New York series. He had a couple of games shaky early, but then had some 20-point games off the bench for the Pacers. So I look for somebody like Benedict Mathurin to really contribute at a higher level in a game too, and take some of the pressure off the starters. I think that's the beauty about this Indiana team. You just mentioned it, Alex, is when the Pacers played the Knicks, you pretty much knew that your scoring leaders for New York were going to be Brunson and Towns. And when you play Oklahoma City, you know that Shea and Jalen Williams are probably going to be your 2 leading scorers. Do you really think that can be the case with the Pacers? We know how good Haliburton and Siakam are, but there are so many times where it might be Obi Toppin or Nesmith or Mathurin. And I think that's the great strength of this team, that if you're the other team, yeah, you know that Haliburton and Siakam are all-stars or all-league players, but there's some other guys that might take advantage of an opportunity and lead the Pacers in scoring that night. So I think that's, as you said, and we've seen it all year, that's been one of the strengths of this team, that you can go 8 or 9 guys, and 8 or 9 guys might be your scoring leader on a night.
That's why I think Dagnall was so adamant about making a move early on. I think he understands how important every single component is of the Pacers, and it's why it's so hard to guard them. And you've got Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, and Miles Turner all in the top 7 and 3-point shooting percentage in the playoffs this year. I mean, it's just incredible how well they're shooting the basketball. And then that means that Haliburton and Siakam, any extra attention they get, those guys are, making it harder for other teams to double them or things like that, take them out of the game because they're shooting so well from 3. But last question for me, Chris, before I let you go here. When you look at OKC, you might have hinted at it just now, but we know SGA is going to do his thing. Who do you think needs to be the second guy that really steps up for OKC in game 2?
Well, they've got to get more out of Holmgren. I mean, he played 23 minutes, 6.6 rebounds. Jalen Williams is going to get his. Dort, I remember the regular season game in March in OKC. He hit 6 threes against the Pacers. So it sort of didn't surprise me that he made 5 more. I'm going to say they're going to feel like they've got to get more out of the tandem of Holmgren and Hartenstein. Now, Hartenstein had 9 points, 9 rebounds. But I would think that that's some place that they're going to feel like they've got to get more production.
I would agree with that completely. So, Chris, I do appreciate your time. Are you going to be in Gainbridge Fieldhouse for game 2 for the fan watch party?
Yes. Jeremiah Johnson and I trade off. He'll be on the staff flight on Sunday afternoon heading to Oklahoma City, and I'll be hosting the watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And just seeing all the videos of all those people that were at the Fieldhouse watching the game, at all the bars and restaurants. Earlier today, just before we did this, I don't know if you've seen it, Alex, at Reggie Miller's house, they had a camera on his family as that last shot was hit, and it was so cool to see Reggie and his kids and family just celebrating a Pacers win. That's what it's been like in Indiana, in Indianapolis. I mean, I saw a bar in Bloomington for game 1 was just absolutely packed, and people are going crazy. That's what this run has meant, not just for the franchise, but for all Pacers fans everywhere, and feel very fortunate that we're living through it right now.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I'm sure everywhere you go, people just want to talk about the Pacers. They want to ask you your opinions on the team, and all I can just say is I'm so excited. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you find a way to watch the games. They're on ABC right now, so you don't even need to have cable to watch them. You can get some bunny ears off Amazon, or Walmart, wherever you need to go. The games are available to you. So I hope people tune in. I hope they find ways to make it to the watch party if they can't make it. Get a ticket for games 3 and games 4. I know they're expensive, but I just feel like it's going to be such an exciting time and an experience that you will never forget. And Michael J. Facci is going to be in the building for game 3, so that's exciting.
And he's got to win, so he's already won this year, so I feel like he can show up. I got to share one more thing. I talked to JMV, and you've had him on. He was at a watch party in Fishers, and he left at the half to go home to watch. And he said he was on the road in Fishers, and he goes, there was no traffic. He goes, it's almost like everybody was somewhere watching the game. He said it was very eerie. He goes, I'm driving down a main road in Fishers at like 9:30 on, a Thursday night, and there was not one car on the road. He goes, that's because everybody's watching the game.
That's incredible, and we really do love it. And I think it's just the way that it's drawn this city together and just making everybody so excited, connected. My favorite video I think I saw from Pacers social media page was the fans walking in the concourse chanting "Let's go Pacers" together in unison. I don't know if you saw that one or not, but that to me was probably the coolest thing. I mean, I just got goosebumps watching it. It's like, this is so cool to see. And I can't remember the last time I've seen Gainbridge Fieldhouse this pumped, with Pacer fans in a long time. We went through a lot of dark days watching some, okay teams, not great teams, but the way this franchise has just turned things around and got the fan base on board, it's been an incredible thing to watch, Chris.
Yeah, if you think about it, 3 years ago, 25 wins. Rick Carlisle's first year, 25 wins. And so when you talk about the players, and we give them a lot of credit, front office, and in particular Rick Carlisle and that staff, what they have done with this team over the last number of years, very, very special.
All right, everybody, that is Chris Denari, the voice of the Indiana Pacers for Pacers TV, and he will be at the fan watch party for Game 2. 8 o'clock is when the game starts on Sunday night. I don't know what time the doors open for the fan experience, but
I think about an hour. I think probably 7 o'clock.
So if you get there, make sure you get there. Maybe if you have a chance to say hi to Chris, I'm sure Chris will love just to interact with all the fans there. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and hopefully you get another awesome game to watch and hopefully experience another Pacers win. So with that being said, Chris, thanks so much. We'll do it again soon, and go Pacers.
All right, go Pacers. Thanks, Alex.